believe it or they cannot believe it, but I am telling you right now, that motherfucker back there is not real.
Real Talk.
Welcome back to Real Talk, where we talk about, real things, obviously. There's some things in this world that it's debatable if they're real or not. And those are the interesting things. And you know what? We're going to do something special here this week. I am joined today by the most paranoid man on the planet. Introduce yourself.
My name is Austin, and that's because I'm paranoid. That's all I'm going to give out.
You are not being detained right now. We're going to talk about something that is quite fascinating to a lot of people. We're going to talk about a couple things, and this is probably going to be a very long episode, and honestly, it's probably going to be a two-parter. It's going to be so long. But without further ado, I want to welcome you to what we're going to call the first annual Conspiracy Roundtable, where we're going to discuss some of the not really taboo topics, but things that people don't really talk about a lot, or when they do, they get written off just as quickly as I'm going to get written off. So it's all good.
Let's see if we make it after this. If this gets posted.
This is going to be the episode that gets taken down from streaming services first, obviously. But it's all good. We're going to talk about conspiracy theories, and those crazy things that only the nut jobs talk about with the tinfoil on their head. Or do they have some validity to them? That's what we're going to find out, right?
I still don't get the hat thing, though.
I don't know what aluminum foil is supposed to block with your head. I never got that. I never bought into that.
I've always heard that that's how you determine if somebody's that's the crazy term. You've gone full tinfoil hat. There's crazier things to do than putting on a tinfoil hat.
Maybe in the 70s wearing a tinfoil hat made sense, but
yeah, but drugs help with that.
Drugs, and that's all we're going to say. So basically, we're going to have a little bit of organization to this because there is a lot. I mean, there is a whole iceberg of things to talk about here, and we are just barely going to scratch the surface. We're not going to talk about them all, and there's going to be ones that you probably want us to talk about that we're just going to forget to get to. We're going to try to lean away from the ones that are more two-sided politics and religion-based, and we're just going to talk about the most popular ones. What do you think about that?
This is going to be fun, I think.
This is going to be the most organization you're going to get out of one of these episodes.
An anxiety attack.
And just know that all the opinions here are just that, opinions.
Opinions. Speculation. That's all it is.
We got a list of things we want to talk about. The most popular conspiracies to chat about. And I gathered a list of about 10 or a dozen items that, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read you the title card of this conspiracy. We're going to start easy. We're going to start with the lower grade ones. And we're going to work our way up to the more grandiose, more big scale ones. And when I read the title card, we're going to both say yay or nay. Do we buy into it? Is it real? Is it fake? Do you believe it? Do you not? And then we're going to dissect it a little bit.
I'm so dying after this.
Yeah, we're both going to die after this, and it's both going to be suicide and drugs at the same time.
Drugs and drowning in suicide.
Exactly. So, without further ado, welcome to the Conspiracy Roundtable. The real Clemente did not kill himself. Here we go. Number one. We're going to start easy. One that a lot of people have heard of. I'm going to read this card exactly how it is, and we're going to say yay or nay. Conspiracy number one. Chemtrails from commercial airliners are used to release toxins, chemicals, and other harmful products onto the population. Yay or nay?
It feels believable. With the amount of planes and, shit coming out of planes, it could make sense to some people, but it's if it's done that, you think it would have done something faster. You think it would wipe us out a little bit more than just getting us all a little bit sick.
Yeah, is that a nay for you then?
I'm gonna say yeah, that's a nay for me, just because science doesn't make sense on it.
It's going to be a nay for me too. I mean, if you think about so basically, for those of you who don't know, the idea of chemtrails is when you look up in the sky and you see like an airliner flying overhead, you see the long trail of what looks like smoke or vapor or whatever dispersing behind it in the course that it was flying. People believe that airliners are strapped with chemicals or toxins or lead or fluoride or whatever that's being aerosol dispersed onto your town or something or other.
It makes me think of like those marriage proposal in the planes. Like you're killing like 20 people right now.
Right. The idea. The conspiracy theorists have an idea that aerosols are being dispersed either to control the climate change or control pesticides or just control your brain or something like that, make you more docile. I see those trails obviously, and they've been dismissed time and time again as just like vapor,
like exhaust.
Yeah, vapor, exhaust, steam. You know, air is cold when you're up that high.
And like the idea like we don't throw aerosol stuff in our hair and to, like we do way more worse things to ourselves than like spraying bad things in the air.
Like, dude, like you can't look outside and be like, oh my God, they're dispersing harmful chemicals onto my children. Get inside, children. Put your dry shampoo in your hair. You know, it's just
that's a conspiracy. What the fuck is dry shampoo?
Dude, you have dry shampoo in your bathroom. You use cologne, guy. Like
you cologne your head.
Have you ever Febrezed your house? You're not getting doused with chemicals. I promise you. You know, if they were going to disperse something like that, they wouldn't do it in broad daylight. So
yeah. They wouldn't make it super obvious and make you think.
Wouldn't strap it to like a United Airlines flight from Chicago to Boise. Like they're not going to just strap it to that one plane, and it just happens to be every single plane. First of all, you know how many planes fly over your head in one day? Second of all,
yeah, that's my point. Is like there's so many planes flying over constantly that you'd think it'd be making more of an effect.
Yeah, and
than it is.
And every plane has a chemtrail. Yeah. Every single plane that you can see in broad daylight with no clouds has a chemtrail. So no, they're not doing that. That's a nay from both of us. It's just vapor, cold air getting sucked through a hot engine and steam dispersing afterwards. You're not being doused with something from American Airlines. It's just not true. Okay, so I never bought into that, and I'm glad you don't either. All right, on to the next one.
On.
This one's fun. This one's actually, I think, the most fun on this list. And what I mean by that is I had a lot of fun looking into this one because I didn't know anything about it. And I got real into it.
I don't even know what you're going to say, but I know what you're going to say.
I got real into this one for like a day and a half just because it's fascinating to listen to.
Ugh,
here it is.
It really is.
Here's a conspiracy. The Earth is flat. And the government / NASA is covering it up. What? Is
that a yay or a nay?
I'm going to tell you something. There's a lot of people that believe the Earth is flat. The Flat Earth Society or the Flat Earth Believers or whatever you want to call it, Flat Earth Movement. It's picked up a lot of steam the last decade. And no,
it just
that's a nay.
It's like the amount of like whatever quote unquote science they think they have. It's like we all have eyes. We've all seen the pictures. We all have eyes and see how the curvature of the sky is. Like that's you wouldn't have curvature if it would just be, I don't know. The sun isn't a fucking spotlight on a plate.
Yeah, basically
spotlight on a waffle.
People who believe in flat Earth, and I spent a lot of time looking into this one time because it was fascinating stuff, but fascinating in the idea that it's like science fiction rather than truth. So basically the idea behind flat Earth, in case you don't know, is the idea that the Earth that we live on is not a globe like we've been taught. It doesn't rotate on an axis like that. It's flat like a dinner plate. And at the center of it is the North Pole. And surrounding the outer rim of it is an ice wall, either separating us from space or separating us from another layer of world or whatever, and the government knows that.
It's already exhausting talking about it, isn't it?
It's boiling my blood trying to explain this without a visual aid, but basically, and a lot of questions.
I think like the description of the flat Earth part is, but it's like to explain like what science. It feels dumb to have to explain it. That's why it's exhausting.
It's ridiculous that we have to even. I put it so low on this list because it's not getting any more attention. The Earth is not flat, and the questions that come up in your head.
Honestly, I'd take chemtrails over this. I'd be more yay for chemtrails than this.
Like the idea is like you're probably asking in your head, well, if the Earth doesn't rotate on an axis, how does the sun rise and fall, and how does the moon rise and fall and stuff like that? How do nights happen? Basically, imagine at the center of the plate is a mobile, like you'd hang over a child's crib, and on that mobile is a dangling sun and a dangling moon. They basically rotate across the planet, in a big circle, like a mobile, and then that is how night and day happens. Maybe there's a dome over the planet, and that's what the blue sky is.
It's like, how do you explain it? I don't understand. Like, how do you explain the sun going up and over when it doesn't? If it's flat, it'd be going wouldn't it be going left to right?
Yeah, well, if you flatten the Earth into a plate, it would rising in the east and setting in the west. Is it going left to right, like clockwise over the disk? So yeah.
Wait, so the sun? Wait, that's where that's confusing. Is the sun going this way around the disk?
Hey, look.
Is it going under the disk?
I didn't make the rules. Okay, but no, the sun is above the U.S. rotating. Like the U.S. is flat. Here's the East Coast. Here's the West Coast. The sun is rotating on a mobile. Once it's done with the West Coast, it floats over Russia. Then it comes back, and then it floats over the U.S. again, and it rotates like that. Instead of rotating around it, it rotates above it in 360 degrees.
Yeah, but it's still what you just said was like not how that doesn't explain how they see it. That like not that you like said anything wrong. You're obviously just a smart person and said things like it's just. I'm just trying to understand how, because how you're saying it would be going like woohoo like a fucking lasso, but that doesn't make it. Oh man, sorry.
Like imagine those toys where it's like a wind up plane or something that you tape to your child's ceiling and you turn it on and it flies around in a circle and around in a circle. That's kind of like what the sun is doing apparently at a constant rate. And
that's still left to right. That's like.
Or rotating, clockwise or whatever. So it goes East Coast to West Coast, East Coast to West Coast over the flat. You can't think about this logically. You have to use your imagination.
There's not much logic behind it because the people behind it are like, and this isn't being like any sort of degrading or anything. It's just that these are the wrong.
Being degrading when it comes out of my mouth.
It's like these are the wrong types of these people, and it's like it's a very Christian concept because they think it's all one world and that everything's above that world.
Exactly, and that is the degree of this that people don't think about. You can't be a flat Earth believer and also be atheist. It is a very religious belief that the Earth is flat, like a dome, like a board game, and God is. Or anyone's interpretation of God is above this board game and its dome over it, watching it and orchestrating it, and underneath the flat surface is hell or whatever. The idea of a solar system and 8 other planets, to some are flat Earth believers, there's no such thing. To some flat Earth believers, they say it's all hoaxes too, and they're all flat discs or other board games being orchestrated by a being over. But they have a very lateral idea of underworld, flat world that we live on, overworld, and it is a religious.
They think the world's Minecraft.
They think the world is Minecraft. And listen to me, circles exist in this world. Okay, it's basically the idea is that we are in a flat petri dish, basically. And the government is trying to enforce this idea of a rotating axis sphere and a revolving universe around a sun as proof of God's non-existence, is what it is. They're trying to cover up the existence of an all-powerful being looking over our petri dish of a world. That's the basic idea of flat Earth and why they're so gung-ho about it. People have tried to disprove flat Earth. Some independent people have tried to float themselves up with balloons and whatnot, and rockets, and people will climb to the top of the Empire State Building and be like, "Nah, it's all flat." It's not how it works,
Jared
man.
Leto just climbed that.
Dude, if you're an ant on a basketball, everything you see is gonna look flat until you're off the basketball. So.
Yeah, it's like you don't get the perspective obviously when you're on the ground, but it's like when you look at the sky and see how the sun working in like a curvature up and down. Like that's where your brain comes in and is like, "Oh, the circle. We big basketball in the sky."
Oh yeah, we're rotating.
Yeah.
We're out here rotating. It's not that hard to think about. It's fun. It's fun to look into flat Earth. I actually encourage you to look into flat Earth and what people believe about it. It is a really cool science fiction read. I had a lot of fun looking into it, and what
I like about flat Earth is like that's what it's like. It's like the new tinfoil hat. Like it's just like, oh, you think I'm just a flat earther or whatever. It's like people who are really insane conspiracy theorists laugh at flat earthers.
Like I'd say,
what a selfish concept of flat Earth too. Like we're the only.
You know
Yeah.
who believed in flat Earth? People 500 years ago.
People before science.
People who didn't know space was real. People who were like, oh yeah, anywhere I sail is Europe.
Just looks up in the sky. That's God.
Yeah, you ever sailed across the ocean and been so goddamn confident that you hit India? You
There was
did.
like a time where they would look at the sky and be like,
Eyes hurt. And that's who thought the Earth was flat. Okay. Like the same people who thought the Earth was flat were the same people who were hand drawing a map of the planet and were so confident that the body of land that they landed on was India because that's where they wanted to go, that they named the indigenous people Indians. And people still called them that by mistake centuries later. That's who made flat Earth really popular, is the people who were just born in the wrong generation and didn't have any evidence to back up the fact otherwise. Okay, the Earth's not flat. It's just not.
no, you can flip it like a coin, bro.
Oh yeah, flipped a coin. And what if it lands upside down? And we're like, oh my God, we have no idea we're upside down. I was like, oh, sorry.
So, and also, is that a yay or a nay for you?
I'm gonna say that's a hard nay.
that's a pretty huge nay right there.
That's
God, I love it. It almost makes me wish it was yay, just because like I want to see the celebration of those people.
yay.
We were right. And did anything change? No. All right.
Oh, okay.
Cool.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to look into though. Look it up because it's really it's creative. I wouldn't mind seeing a flat Earth concept for a movie, like a science fiction movie, like an Elysium type movie. But
Directed by Roland Emmerich.
all right, we'll move on.
Godzilla '98.
You ever seen Moonfall?
What'd it do?
The movie sucked. Hey, what did it do though? You know. All right, let's see what we got next. All right, on to conspiracy number 3. Let's see what we got. Let's see if we can get a little bit more believable with it.
What, flat Earth is... You don't think flat Earth is believable?
I don't think flat Earth is...
I don't think flat Earth is.
And that's it. All right. So I know we said we weren't going to get into the two-side politics with this.
You got 2 and you're like, all right, fuck it.
But look, man, we're 3 conspiracies in. There's no going back at this point. I've already sunk like...
We've already said God once.
I've already
it's fine.
spent 10 minutes on this. Let's just get into it, man. So this one is a a very obvious two-side politic conspiracy. Or at least it has become one. It might have been a global conspiracy, but now it's like a very left side, right side, American politics, bipartisan government conspiracy.
All the hashtags.
And it shouldn't be. But we're going to talk about it because it's big and we're increasing in size here. So, global warming is a hoax. Let's talk about it. Yay or nay?
It's like I'm always being told that it is, and like you look at the weather and it makes you feel like it, but things just keep being the same to me. I just feel like we put more spotlights on the bad things than, so it's like, I don't know if it's a yay or that's a tough one, honestly.
It's a tough one because it's so obvious that any answer is taking a side.
Yeah.
And you don't want to. The idea that it's a hoax.
And it's also like I don't know.
We don't know. We don't. That's not our field of expertise.
Yeah.
It's so obvious that at least it has become in most recent years the idea that global warming is a conspiracy, is a hoax, is a right-sided belief, and the idea that global warming is real is a left-sided belief. And, people who are gung-ho about their sides will buy into their side's idea of it without doing research. And I think that's harmful both ways.
There are people who are part of the popularity contest of it.
Yeah, popularity contest, and most celebrities fall into the popularity contest aspect of it. A lot of older generations believe it's a hoax. A lot of newer generations believe it's real. It's very, very he said, she said, left side, right side. It's very...
Which you could kind of look at that as like, I guess how news trends work. Like how news trends were back then and how the cycle is now. Like, of course, like I guess the one you're hearing out more now is how it's real. Because it wasn't before, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're hearing more about it now. But the idea is that, does that mean that it's more present now than it was 40 years ago? Or is that because the media is dominated by one-sided beliefs? I mean, let's be real here. You turn on the news.
Real talk.
CNN is going to tell you that it's accurate and the world is getting warmer. And Fox News is going to tell you the opposite thing. It's just what it is. And... It's just, it's a game of telephone, honestly. And none of us, not that we're not willing to do the research. I mean, some of us aren't willing to do the research, but a lot of us don't have the means to do the research. I mean, how am I going to compare average temperatures now against average temperatures 50 years ago? I wasn't here. I don't know. I have to take word of mouth.
Yeah. And the temperature it's usually hot and cold at the right times. For me,
hey, it's cold in the winter. It's warm in the summer.
Yeah, and it's it's like hot this couple. It's like, well, yeah, we're in the South. It's gonna happen a little bit. It's gonna warm up a little bit, but relax. It's gonna be 30 soon. You can chill out.
It's gonna be 30 soon, but maybe not as much as it was when you were a kid. But also, did you live in a different area? Things are different now. It's easy to teeter the fence on this, and it's too safe to teeter the fence on this. In the middle is not an option for any of these conspiracies. So I'm going to say yay on this, and not because I'm taking a side, but because what I've seen firsthand in my limited time on this planet is there are fewer cold days than there were when I was a kid, in the same area. So we do obviously live in a part of the U.S. here where it snows once every 3 years, and you got to take that into account. But it seems like unanimously across the board, even with people who aren't benefiting from saying this, is that it's getting warmer. But there's research out there to say that it isn't. I think before I go any further, you got to give me a yay or a nay. You can't teeter the fence on this. Give me yay or nay. Is global warming a hoax?
Like as you say, like I don't think it's like an easy way out. It's
There is no easy way out. You have to take a side, and I'm forcing you into
Quit
this.
yelling at me.
I'm forcing you. This is how the global warming conversation
if I'm being
happens.
forced into it, yeah, I'm going to give you an answer.
You're being forced into giving me an
I'm
answer. Do you believe global warming is a hoax, or do you believe it is real?
I guess I believe that it's real.
Okay.
More than anything. I don't know. I guess what I think is, I don't know if it's as, what's the word? Like, it's not as terrifying of a thing as it's being made out to be, though.
It's being made making a mountain out of a molehill.
Yeah, like a little bit. Like we all know that we had to treat the world better. It's not like we need to be told that something bad's happening and do that. It's clearly not working anyway. But, it's, yeah. Sorry, I was gonna go on more of a tangent there, and I'm just gonna say yay.
No, this is for tangents. This is the area for tangents. And here's my tangent. We look at satellite photos of the polar ice caps, and by the way, it's a sphere. It's not flat. It's a sphere that we're looking at. These polar ice caps are shrinking.
It's an ice side. Thank you very much.
It's an ice wall.
It's an ice wall
around this world. The ice caps are smaller than they were 50 years ago, 100 years ago, whatever. The ice caps are shrinking. Let's be real here. There's more cars on the road than there ever were before. There's more factories on the planet than there ever were before. I mean, factories are not getting torn down faster than they're being built. They're just not.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it makes sense that our emissions and our pollution and our industrialization of this planet are contributing to an accelerated growth in the just the natural heat and exhaust of the atmosphere. Like it makes sense. It does.
Yeah, no, yeah, it makes absolute sense. But it's definitely a problem for like future generations. But it's making a panic about it now, but only when it wants to be. Like when it's that's my problem with it. It's like sometimes it's an issue. Same thing with like everything. That's
exactly the thing too. Is the biggest thing hurting the global warming argument is people not taking sides, but
being loud about either side,
over exaggerating what they think the causes are.
Yeah,
like this whole like there's a million things like people like Bill Gates and people in his camp will be like, oh well, agriculture is leading to increased carbon dioxide in the atmosphere or whatever. I'm just fucking paraphrasing here. I'm not a scientist, but people like in Bill Gates and other industries like that will say that methane emissions from cow farms and
cows be shitting, dude.
Cows just be shitting, and that's tearing a hole in the planet. Is their idea, and they're completely
cow farts are destroying the planet, dude.
Cows are ripping ass and ruining the planet for my child. That's their idea, and that is a ridiculous idea, and it might be true. Do you know how many living organisms on this planet have a bunghole? They're all ripping ass, right? Why cows? Why are you attacking the farmers? Why are you attacking agriculture?
They're the most outside animals.
They're just out here ripping, dude. They live off Chipotle, dude. I don't buy into that for a second. I mean, you're going to talk about cow farts, and you're not going to talk about the factories and the smokestacks. I mean, dude, have you ever driven through Bridgeport, Connecticut? Have you ever driven through interstate parts of New Jersey? Dude, have you ever driven to Southport, North Carolina? There are smokestacks out the wazoo.
Yeah.
Factories are being built 5 times as fast as they are being torn down or shut down or revolutionized. So, no, don't talk to me about how the farmers are screwing things up.
It's weird that you say like about the factories things though. Like there are still factories around, and that's still a problem of why global warming, whatever.
Yeah.
But it's like you also hear at the same time like we're closing all the factories. Fucking pick one. That's my problem.
First of all, name me 2 factories. Right? I mean,
we're all losing our jobs.
We're gonna lose our jobs at the Ford factory. Dude,
the robot's doing it now. Get over it.
Listen, like, the biggest, like, if global warming is true, which I'm going to take a side and say that it is,
Yeah.
you're hurting your case by pointing the fingers at everywhere but the people who benefit you, which is the big industries, okay? You can't keep blaming the individual and the single family households and the single mothers and the grandma in their retirement home and the students in the elementary school. You can't keep blaming the individuals for shit that corporations are doing 11,000-fold. I mean, here's the thing.
It's your fault, man, because of the straws.
You use plastic straws with your Burger King cup?
What are you talking about? I don't have a plastic straw in my latte.
You use plastic. I guess you just are racist against sea turtles. You need to be using paper straws that decompose in your mouth. Do you know why? Because every time you choose to use a paper straw, you're undoing years and years of ozone emissions from the factories. Listen to me. It's cool if you want to recycle your soda bottles. It's cool if you want to put your cereal boxes and your pizza boxes in recycling. It's cool if you want to, only buy recycled products. If you want to buy a beach chair made out of recycled flip-flops, go ahead, okay? But make no mistake, 100 corporations are responsible for at least 70% of the world's pollution. There is nothing you can do with a paper straw. There's just nothing.
You can't even drink with it.
Your biodegradable, listen, your biodegradable cups, your paper straws, your what?
Cutting the rings because turtles.
Cutting the soda rings.
if you kill the turtles, it's global warming.
Look, I'm not saying don't do those things because obviously, there's some benefit to them. Otherwise, they wouldn't make money and be in business.
But there are bigger fish to fry that aren't being
But
fried.
there are fish that you can't even figure out how to fry. Okay? There is nothing that you can do.
You can try frying a whale. It's not a fish, is it? Never mind.
Listen, no amount of recycling is going to undo what the companies are doing to the planet right now. Okay? The individual is not at fault for this. Now, don't stop recycling. Obviously, there's some merit to recycling because it's a thing. But let's be real here. My neighbor is not causing global warming because he uses plastic straws. I don't know, man.
If you're on like any drive, you see what's doing it, but you drive by ignoring it. You just see things working.
Like, I mean, for real. Hey, do you throw trash away? It's your fault.
Like, I don't. And it's like, yeah.
Have you ever seen a landfill? I can tell you firsthand. Go to a landfill if you're gung ho about this, like decrease the pollution because global warming, because of everything that people like Bill Gates and people in positions of power have told you about. I'm getting on a tangent here, and I'm not anti-recycling, and obviously it sounds like I'm taking a different side here, but my point is,
This is America, man. Take whatever side you want.
if global warming is real, it's not the individual's fault. Okay? And I'm not going to be made to feel bad about global warming.
Yeah.
Although I support the idea that it's real and I think that we need to change things, but there is nothing in my day-to-day life that I can change that would make even a fraction of a difference.
It's like the big corporations are like, it's like your parents telling you not to like play with the matches. Meanwhile, the fucking house is on fire behind them.
Exactly. I mean, dude, the industrial areas of America, it's ridiculous, dude. The output, I mean, BP oil alone in 1 month does more harm to the planet than I've done in my life.
You see like shots of like movies like in the 90s or the 80s, and it's just shots of like factories and shit just being spewed into. But we like glorified it. It's like, oh, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, look at all this fucking shit coming out and destroying New York City.
You know what?
He's fighting Shredder. Meanwhile, people are coughing blood down the street.
You know what the real secret of the ooze is? It's not my fault. That's the secret.
It's Vanilla Ice at the end of that movie. But go on.
It's not my fault. It's not the cow ass fault. It's just things need to change on an industrial and even a political, a corporate level, but bottom line, a corporate level, things need to change that the individuals cannot change. And let's be real, they're not going to change. They're going to tell you that you need to get electric cars, that you need to be getting an electric car and charging it every 3 hours.
You know what's building that car though?
Factory,
bro.
Hey, you know how much power a Tesla charging station uses?
All of what you use in a month, basically.
All of it. Where do you think electricity comes from? How do you think electricity is distributed to a parking space? Things happen that you don't even know about.
No, it's making it better.
Hey Taylor Swift. Love your hit singles. But there's nothing you can do. And look, people will make the argument about how she's flying her private jet from place to place instead of practicing what she preaches. I don't even care about that. I don't even care about how much Taylor Swift is flying her private jet, because even Taylor Swift flying her private jet from city to city is barely making a dent compared to what companies are doing.
To quote a great guy.
You know?
To quote the guy.
To quote some guy. Like, look, I'm not even going to get on the celebrities about using their private jets. You know? There is nothing an individual can do to prevent this. And to be...
And it's just silly to blame private jets, like to say something of the private jets thing in general. It's like, it's against... It's like, dude, planes are flying all the time. Not just the private... Like, the planes that you fly on are doing it, too.
Have you seen Chemtrails?
Sir, I need you to sit down.
Sir, we're just trying to fly to Sheboygan.
Sir, I just showed you how to put your seatbelt on. Please.
Sir, you just threw a plastic soda bottle in the trash.
That person is not real.
Look, I didn't mean to go off on a tangent with this. I'm not really...
Real tangent.
You know, that's all this show is, but... The reality is, like, don't shame the individual about their practices in their home and then turn around and ask them for money when Australia's on fire. Like, don't ask them for donations. You're the one polluting the ozone.
There's so many things, so many places on fire, and yeah, straws.
Yep.
That's the last
You
straw.
see the one and only video of a plastic straw being pulled out of a turtle's nose? That was a cow. All right, look. Let's move on, man. I already told you it's gonna be a long one, and we're only 3 in. All right, number 4, and so look, this one. Look, I'm gonna start with. I'm gonna give you the preface here. Some of these might be controversial. I mean, they're conspiracy theories. You know what this is. If you're still listening, you know what this is. So, some of these are going to be a little controversial. Obviously, nothing we say here is meant for offense. I know people take sides on all kinds of things. These are naturally taboo topics, so this is not the worst it's going to get. But let's just get into it.
It's all speculation, people.
It's all speculation. It's all conspiracy theories. I got my tinfoil hat on right now. Let's do this. So, number 4. This is a popular one, and this is one of my favorites to talk about. 9/11 was an inside job / controlled demolition. This is a big one. 9/11, September 11, 2001. The terrorist attacks on the World Trade Center and the Pentagon was an inside job, or wasn't what we were led to believe. Yay or nay on this?
I'm not gonna lie. That's because, I mean, you already prefaced that I'm an insane person. It's tough to. It's a tough one if you really think about it for too long, but I'm gonna say nay because I don't know. I saw video. I saw the 2 planes. At least I saw the second one go in.
Well, you saw the videos of it. You weren't there in New York.
No, I wasn't there in New York, but like I saw
videos of the planes entering the building.
Oh, what are you gonna try to?
What
are you trying to do?
I'm just saying. You also saw Cybertron enter Earth's atmosphere in 2023. So, and that's all I'm gonna say.
It's just I don't know, and it's you. A lot of people died, and a lot of people like it. Just yeah, I guess yeah. Fuck it, nay. I was gonna try to convince myself that I'm not a crazy person, but actually no. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, like yay as
yeah. I
in-
confused myself. Yay, because it really is. Because I'm realizing all my reasons for
Yay
nay
means 9/11 was an inside job.
Yeah, and the only reasons mine were nay were I was thinking nay was because of emotional reasons, but then you realize if it happened, there's no emotions in whoever did it, so
Look,
it's an emotionless act.
maybe it happened exactly the way we were told.
Yeah,
In which case, we have to talk about it like a historical event. I mean,
and
we
it
have-
sucks to have to say this, but we hope that it went that way.
You know, in all honesty, something did happen, and those buildings are no longer there anymore.
Yeah,
And the best possible outcome is the fact that it had really went down the way it did,
yeah,
instead of what conspiracy theorists believe in the idea that it was an inside job by our own government.
and for different reasons too. Wasn't oil like the biggest one because we wanted oil?
There's a bunch of different theories as to why people believe 9/11 was an inside job. The most prominent one is the idea that the U.S. wanted a reason to invade Iraq and Iran and Afghanistan because oil reserves were found there.
Yeah,
And Project Desert Storm and years prior. And that's why there was the idea that this terrorist group was holding Iraq hostage. So they introduced this really cleverly named military operation called Operation Iraqi Liberation, which if you take the three letters that starts with, OIL, what do you get? You know, so they changed it to Operation Iraqi Freedom, but
it's oil in case you can't spell.
yeah, in case you're
dyslexic.
pick up a science book. But look, the idea that 9/11 was an inside job is massively popular in the U.S. And probably overseas too.
Wait, quick question. Whenever you say yay or nay, is that like a definite belief system?
It's
or is
that you buy into it.
you could that we definitely buy into, or we could see that it like because I'm just
That you side with the conspiracy theorists on this
complete.
one.
Okay, got it. Yeah, then I'm still yay because it's fucking weird. The whole thing is fucking weird.
The whole thing is very weird, and there's just so much about it. Look, this is real talk. This is an entertainment podcast, so strike me down if you will, but I'm gonna go yay
blame
on.
me.
I'm
It's
gonna
because
go
I'm here.
yay on this one too. You know, I have seen. I've seen more evidence that it was controlled demolition or an inside job than I've seen evidence of it going down the way that we were taught. I was a child, too young to know anything other than the news when this happened, obviously, like you were, but I know grown adults were in New York at the time and people were watching it happen in real life. And I've never met someone who was in New York at the time and saw it happen. Have you?
I know, like not in that part of New York. No,
No, so
people saw it, like people in like Long Island, like obviously saw it. They just weren't there.
So look, I have to rely only on word of mouth.
Yeah,
News, internet readings, articles, photos, videos. That's the only thing I have to verify that. I've never seen the World Trade Center in my life. I've never seen Ground Zero in my life.
yeah,
So I have to take what I'm told as absolute truth.
yeah.
Right? No. I have it's my duty to question it. And you know what?
It's every human being's like right to think. For sure.
I so badly want to meet someone who is there on site. I want to meet someone who is there on site and witness the thing firsthand. Someone that I trust, who doesn't have government or corporation interests behind them.
Yeah.
I want to meet someone in real life who I trust to give me an honest answer, to tell me it. And if they tell me, yeah, man, I saw the planes. It really went down that way. Boom. I switched to nay right away. But until that moment, I question it, man, because I've seen a lot of evidence supporting the idea that it didn't go down the way it did. I mean, let's think about it. We like everyone outside of New York on September 11th, 2001. We only have video evidence to go off of, right? So,
How much do you believe the phone calls
what phone calls?
from the plane to the family? Because if you see it as like a thing that like you get way after the fact, like, oh, we obtained these calls. It's like you obtain them, or like you could if you were a conspiracy theorist, you could go down the route of it being an inside job. It's like, oh, they just got fake phone calls. They just see, that's the thing about the whole inside job thing. It goes down so many routes to other conspiracies.
I mean, look,
like fucking loose change, dude.
Dude, 2,000 people lost their life. We're not making light of the situation we talk about. We're not denying that.
If anything, we're talking about how absurd it is as a concept. That either way, it's absurd how it happened.
We are critiquing and exploring the conspiracy itself. Yeah. Not just our beliefs on it. So, look, it obviously something went down, and
it doesn't matter what. Like, still, like you said, 2,000 plus people died.
2,000 people are no longer on this planet, and all the kids they would have had are no longer on this planet.
And so many people are still sick as shit after.
Yeah, exactly. So we're not making light of the situation just to say that there is a lot of weight behind the conspiracy here. I mean, you can look at these videos of these planes, and you can be like, okay, pretty undeniable. I got videos from 17 different angles of a plane going into a building.
Yeah.
But ask yourself, why were 17 different people not photographing but videotaping the World Trade Center at 10:47 a.m. on that specific day? Why were so many people videotaping at the same time?
You know what's crazy? I looked into obviously this conspiracy too because I'm insane, and I never heard anybody else say what you just said, which was how come there are so many cameras pointing at this right now it was just some day of the week. It wasn't even like
exactly. Yeah. It wasn't like a fireworks show. It wasn't a concert. I mean, a lot of people point their phones at the stage during a concert or something, some kind of shared experience, but it was a normal business day. It was a normal morning, and people were videotaping these buildings conveniently.
Yeah.
And also they had the means to put out the videos in the mainstream news, so...
And you know what? There are some videos, you don't hear any reaction.
Or the reactions that you do hear are so crystal clear.
I saw one that was like, somebody was filming inside of a car, and they saw it and didn't there was no noise. Like you heard like no reaction. And that's weird as shit. Like unless somebody futzed with it to fuck with me.
And we wouldn't know because that's all we have is what we got.
Yeah, all we have is what we see and hear and can get.
So, dude, CGI existed 30 years before that. So,
yeah,
it's not completely out of the realm of possibility to say that unless you witnessed it firsthand, that could be a CGI plane. You know, a lot of people believe that bombs went off inside the building in the main support infrastructure of the building. You know, you hear the meme that became a meme to discredit it. The jet fuel can't melt steel beams. It can't.
Thermite paint.
Like, you can laugh about it, but
Jesse Ventura is a fucking psychopath.
But it's a fact. It doesn't burn hard enough to melt the steel beams to collapse a tower that large. Also, the tower collapsed in on its own footprint. It didn't fall sideways.
Yeah.
It didn't collapse one way or another like a tree getting cut down.
You could almost see, like, except like the fuel thing, nobody knows about like the temperature and how it burns. I can see how it physically happens. Like if it does burn that hot enough, it burns inside itself like that for so long, it can fall into itself. That I can see. It can look like a demolition that way. But if the fuel thing is like accurate of how hot it burns not to do that, then that throws that whole fucking concept out the window.
Exactly. Exactly. And to have it collapse, not just one, but two skyscrapers collapse in on its own building footprint so perfectly from damage not sustained to the base of the building, but the top half of the building.
Yeah.
And look, maybe you can entertain.
And yeah, dude, that makes because like the top part because it hit the top of the building, so the top wouldn't knock down the rest. Yeah,
the bottom of the building.
Like I'm sitting here like fuck. Shit, damn it.
Like and this is what we do. We're exploring the conspiracy theory. We're not discrediting anything. I have to keep reminding.
We gotta do disclaimers out the ass.
Disclaimers out the ass.
We can't, like cows ripping, bro.
And still, we got cows farting in here, dog.
Cows farting out disclaimers, dude.
But look, it collapsed in on itself. Now let's say for a second that what I just said was incorrect, and that there were planes, and 2 planes did crash into the building in the same upper half of the building, so close together, and they both did collapse in on themselves.
It's almost magic bullet like.
It's perfect. It's so perfectly orchestrated. Now, if there really was planes, okay, what about the other idea that there was controlled demolitions and there was the decision
Building 7.
We'll get to that, but
sorry.
There was the idea that they decided to pull the plug on the buildings, where they were like, "This building's unsalvageable. There's so much damage to the infrastructure. It's unsafe. We have to take it down." Boom! They do their demolition charges in the basement, and it collapses down perfectly on itself. I mean, perfectly timed explosions in the 4 corners and in the support structures of the lower floors.
Yeah.
They take the building down in a controlled demolition before it does any other harm. Okay, that's fine if that's how it went down.
Yeah.
How'd you get the charges there so fast? You know what I'm saying?
This is probably going maybe too deep, and I'll probably seem more crazy. But I mean, look at what we're talking about. The flat earthers are more insane than
That's what we have
to
do.
As long as I say flat earthers, I'll still look smart.
Exactly. We're just talking about people who believe the earth is flat, so we're not the crazy ones.
All right, so World Trade Center, I believe, was built 1986.
Something like that.
What's the shelf life? I don't know, like what the shelf life of explosives is. If it's 1986 and it went down 2001, obviously, it's 25 years?
25 years, yeah.
If you could build explosives into a building, that's only going to be around for so long.
Like lace the construction
not like
materials?
thermite paint, like fuckface says.
No.
Like I'm like some shit like in between like the cracks, like in between.
Okay, yeah.
Like say like up and down the elevator shafts, and like it hits and sparks the right thing, and like I don't know. It seems if it was such a big plot instead of just like a singular thing, which that's the thing. I think that's the inside job thing is they're making it seem like a singular act. It's like they had this plan for a fucking minute. If you think about it, like how the building's been built, it looks like the building was built for that.
You know what? When we're talking about conspiracies, that is not out of the realm of possibilities. That is more realistic than some takes I've heard. I've heard some takes that say aliens did it. No. Not
lizard people.
Not a chance. We'll get to that.
I love Jesse Ventura is so fun to watch. I hate him, but I love him so much.
But look, it's not.
Baja. Sorry.
Nothing is out of the realm of possibility. I mean, controlled demolition. I'll buy into that. Yeah. I will, because it's just everything lined up so perfectly. Also, how about all the money that went missing on September 10th, 2001? Huh? How about all that? We won't even get into that because I want this podcast to be reasonable time, but
yeah.
But look, man, and then
that'll be a separate episode.
And then we're not even really going to talk about the Pentagon because no one talks about the plane crashing into the Pentagon. Nobody talks about the plane talking to.
Well, because they didn't talk about the Pentagon because of the Savior story that happened in the field.
United 93.
Yeah. So you could put a spotlight on that and you got all these people dying over here, but these guys tried to save these guys over here. Yep. Like, don't. What happened to don't.
Individual blue collar heroes save the day. You won't question about the white collar villains, man.
Yeah.
We're not even gonna. It's barely scratching the surface, and you haven't even gotten to the fact that a plane crashed into the Pentagon, the military centerpiece of the United States. A plane crashed into it. The Pentagon's in D.C., by the way.
Yeah.
You know who else is in D.C.? The White House.
And it's like if you were gonna
see it coming,
and if you're gonna go after, if you're gonna do that like a plot for a building, would you really hit the Pentagon? Would you go after that if you're a terrorist like these guys?
Would you?
You would think that they would go after the fucking White House or at least the U.S. Capitol.
Exactly.
Our intelligence agency.
The CIA, the FBI, you went to the Pentagon, you went to one side of the Pentagon, and that's all the damage you did?
Yeah.
But you took down 2 skyscrapers?
And not to dig deeper on this one, but in the spot that it hit, wasn't there some important shit in that specific spot of the Pentagon?
You lose some records in the rubble. You lose some records. Also, how about the security cameras in the Pentagon? I've seen security camera footage from that day.
Oh yeah, dude! I saw the one where it looked like the plane landed inside the motherfucker.
It looked like it was sliding on its belly.
Yeah.
But also, the frames per second on that camera.
Like, where'd it go?
Oh, there's a plane. It's like, oh, you only have to doctor 1 frame? That's convenient, huh?
Yeah.
It's just there's so.
Oh, it's 2001. The cameras weren't good. You're the fucking CIA, dude.
Hey, do you know what you did 50 years prior? You went to the moon and you filmed it with better frames per second. So
did we though?
I didn't even put that on the list. But look, 9/11 thing.
Stanley Kubrick. Anyway,
dude. The fact that we're talking about all these ideas and we haven't even scratched the surface of it just shows why there's so much question behind it. You know, obviously those people aren't here anymore. Disclaimer again. We're not making light of it. Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
A lot of respect for those people and
obviously
Pete Davidson.
But no. But look,
he'll tell you.
Let's talk about everyone's favorite aspect of this. Building 7.
Oh, jeez.
Couple blocks away.
I just another. Say, you fucked me up the other day when you sent me. You're probably explaining what you.
I don't even remember what I was saying.
You sent me a video of like how did you hear you heard a boom and then it wasn't that you or did Michael send me that?
I don't know, but look, Building 7.
Bleep his name out. I don't want him to get excited.
Building 7 was a part of World Trade Center Plaza, which was like a block or 2 away. Not a skyscraper, not really well known.
It's not even close to a skyscraper. It's like the height of like a normal.
Yeah, it's like 20 stories. It's like an office building.
Yeah.
So didn't catch any debris, didn't catch any fire, nothing. That building just collapsed in on its own footprint again. Mm-hmm. A building that was not hit by any debris was at least a block away from a collapsing skyscraper. In the middle of other buildings equally sized, collapsed in on its own footprint.
And or any other, I can't remember where.
2 hours later.
Sorry, what?
I
didn't actually know. You added that part. I didn't know that part.
How do you...
You said 2 hours later?
I think it was 2 hours. I'm probably wrong, but it was significant time later. It was like after lunch.
Okay, I saw... somebody, the cow shitting, bro. somebody ripped. Because, I don't know, I don't remember if you sent it to me or not, but it was like a video of the bill. I'm definitely getting fucking killed after this. Like... The building, it's like sitting there. It's like kind of got like a little bit of like there's smoke above it, obviously, because like debris, whatever is falling on top of it. Then you hear a boom, and then after a second, collapses on itself.
Controlled demolition.
The fuck blew up?
Controlled demolition.
Yeah, exactly. But it's just like you're being told to ignore.
No one talks about buildings.
Yeah, it's like and if you do, it's like. You're nuts. You're anti-American. You're not American if you think about this.
Exactly. And you know what? That's fine. I'll be whatever. But the thing is, you get written off as a conspiracy nut to talk about this because the only people talking about it are the quote unquote conspiracy nuts. Hey, who gave them that name? I know they didn't.
Yeah.
So look, man, it's just too many coincidences. My view,
and too many things to gain from it for the U.S.
There's too many things to gain. There's too much justification to invade the Middle East. There's too much justification to cover up the missing billions of dollars. It was just and look, we haven't even talked about the predictive programming of it all. How it was telegraphed to the American public in popular media projects months and years prior. I mean, I showed you my example from 10 years prior to 2001, Terminator 2 in the chase scene. Look, man. there's an idea, and this is a whole nother conspiracy in and of itself. I don't think we'll get to, but
Why not?
there's an idea that when something's going to go down, you hear that all the time about how the Simpsons predicted it, but there's this predictive programming where it's like this. To put a religious spin on it, there's this universal like karmic belief where if you tell people about the wrongdoing that you're going to do, you won't be held as liable for it because they quote unquote allowed it to happen. And why I'm saying this in relation to 9/11
somebody is just complicit, basically.
Exactly, is that the public knows about it, so it wasn't a secret. It was a plan all along. It didn't catch them by surprise, or they subconsciously expect it to happen. So when you see things like The Simpsons holding up a magazine that says 9/11 and the 11 is made out of the World Trade Centers, when you see something like that, or you see another Simpsons episode where there's a movie poster with the World Trade Center burning, and
Yeah,
it
it's
says,
like an action movie, and it's
the World Trade Center burning, and it says coming soon.
There are other cartoons. I can't remember.
There's
now.
at least 40 examples of 9/11 being shown before it happened. The Mario movie, Mario movie, whatever, showed the World Trade Center basically disintegrating from the top half down.
What, the 93 movie?
Yeah, the stupid Mario movie from the 90s.
See, I've been wanting to watch it. Now I got a reason to.
The bad guys in suits like disintegrated the top half of the World Trade Centers.
Oh,
and
Dennis Hopper.
Yeah, dude. And Godzilla 98, Roland Emmerich.
I was thinking Godzilla 98 and I couldn't think of the example.
Where they were talking about how this is the worst thing to happen since the World Trade Center bombing. Like, bombing, you know? you know?
Well, because it's weird to bring it up because there was an attempted bombing like in 93, but it was like in a garage and it did nothing. It fucking affected the garage.
But who thinks about that? You know?
Yeah, it's like, it was such a non-thing at that. Like, nobody talked about it. Nobody talked about any terrorist activity because there was none.
Exactly.
There weren't terrorists before 9/11.
My favorite example, and look, this predictive programming, it happens because if they tell you about it beforehand, this is a little deeper into conspiracy nut territory, but if they tell you about it beforehand, you'll either accept the fact that it's happening or they won't be held cosmically responsible for it in the afterlife or whatever. But my favorite example is from Terminator 2, 10 years prior. There's a chase scene where the Terminator is being chased by the bad Terminator in a truck, and they go down in this alleyway. I don't know what you call it, a spillway or whatever. And he's driving a giant cabin truck, like a Mack truck, and they go under a bridge. And the bridge is easily 12 feet of clearance, 13 feet of clearance, and the truck is maybe 14 feet tall. But the sign on the bridge, it flashes for 1 second. It says, because you know bridges, they always have the overhead clearance sign for truck drivers. First of all, why would they have that in a spillway? Second of all, they have the overhead clearance sign, and it says, caution, 9 foot, 11 inches. Look.
You know, say 10 foot for sure.
Say 10 feet. Say 9 feet to be extra safe, because I know about 10-inch antennas. But look. 9 feet, 11 inches. Caution, 9/11. And it tears off the roof of this truck that is clearly taller than 10 feet. I don't know, man. It's just...
I mean, there are too many...
There's too many examples.
There are too many coincidences for there not to be something.
There's just too many. Yeah. And most recently, I was talking about this with Tanner. Hate to rope you into this. I'm not a conspiracy nut, neither is he. But look, I was talking to him. I was like, dude, there used to be a plethora of 9/11 conspiracy videos on YouTube. You can't find shit anymore. Yeah. You try to search for 9/11 conspiracy videos on YouTube, you are like, you're directed in the entirely wrong direction. There's nothing credible on the first 10 search results. You can't find anything. Yeah, 10 years ago, you used to find all this Illuminati stuff.
That's actually where it wasn't related to 9/11, but it's related to something we'll probably talk about later. But I Googled something, and I'm expecting a list of things. It's just showing like singular things. Like, here, I'll just say what I Googled. I was just like, significant like band member deaths.
Yeah.
And like cause like shit. Like I was going down like that rabbit hole. And the only thing that kept popping up was the Smash Mouth guy. That's the only thing that kept popping up, which is like that's the most recent one. So that's who you're got to be talking about. That's it.
Search results are so carefully curated now.
Scrubbed, dude.
Dude, scrubbed through and through. Unless, look, before we did this episode, I looked up conspiracy theories, just 2 words, conspiracy theories.
Just to see if, like, if we're going to get arrested or not.
I looked up conspiracy theories on YouTube, and that's not something I search up regularly. I'm usually more specific. You know what I got? I got Watch Mojo, I got Shane Dawson, and I got
the world's wildest conspiracy
theory. And I got Alex Jones YouTube poops. That's all I got. There was nothing.
Never seen.
There was nothing, man. And I remember 10 years ago, I used to be big into it, man. I used to look up all this stuff and all these videos. I actually have some saved on my computer right here about 9/11. These videos of 9/11, and I didn't even tell you.
Shouldn't have said that.
I have these videos, and I saved them, and I'm so glad I did, because you can't find them on YouTube anymore. There's one video I'll show you after this. It's the windshield video. Did I ever tell you about the windshield video?
I don't believe so.
We're never going to get off the topic of 9/11, but look.
Yeah, that's what this is going to be, a 9/11 parter.
Caution, 9/11 parts. Look.
Justice League 2.
Electric Boogaloo. Look.
Electric 9/11. Sorry.
I started to buy into the 9/11 conspiracy 10 years ago when I saw a video, one of the street level videos from a camcorder from that day of a witness who was videotaping like down the street, and then they look up at the last second and they see a plane flying into the building from the left hand side. Mm-hmm. This person was standing on the sidewalk, and they were maybe a block away from the Trade Center or whatever. They were close, but in front of them was just a row of parked cars, okay? And then a couple streets away was the World Trade Center. They looked up at the last second, held it steady, and watched the plane fly into the building, okay? Fine. Looks good. But here's a problem. The car that was 2 feet in front of her camera, 2 feet in front of her camera, the World Trade Center's a mile or 2 away, car 2 feet in front of them. The windshield was facing her, right? She was at the front of the car or the back of the car, whatever.
Right.
You know windshields are slanted. So if you stand tall enough, you can see your own reflection in the windshield.
Yeah.
The windshield is facing her camera and everything that's behind her and the sky behind her. And a mile ahead of her, the plane is crashing into the building. Why, in this slanted windshield facing her and the sky behind her, can I see a reflection of the plane a mile in front of them?
Are you asking me, man?
I'm asking you. You did this. So look, if I was going to doctor a video on the fly and make my CGI compelling, I'm not a CGI artist, but I'd pay extra special attention to the reflections. I'd make sure plane reflections showed up in the windows, as they did. You know it's not a fake, because if they showed a plane flying into the building, not showing up reflected anywhere, they'd be like, oh, it's CGI. But they go, wait a second.
So it was like a perfect reflection?
It was a perfect reflection on the windshield facing her.
Nothing warped about it.
Nothing warped about it. It was a convincing reflection until you think about it. Like, CGI looks real when there's a reflection.
It's almost like they mirrored the footage behind her.
Not just that they mirrored the footage, but they put it in there. They put a reflection in there to add
realism.
To add realism to the CGI plane, not thinking that the angle that the windshield was facing, it makes no sense for a reflection, because that would imply that the plane was behind her.
Yeah.
They didn't think about that when they put that reflection in there. So that's when I started to buy into it. I'll show you the video. I don't think I have. I think it's on a hard drive.
I think I was like everybody else, which was when Loose Change came out.
I don't even see
I watched that waiting for my car to get done at Toyota.
Well,
and I got in there happy. I left horrified. I was so upset. Like, I was so mad at the country. Like, dude, I was fucking 18 too, though. I was like, what am I going to do about it?
And all the propaganda movies that came out after it. I mean, dude, this is our 4th conspiracy on the list. Look how much we've dived into this, you know?
Yeah.
Damn. So I don't know. There's a lot more that
Dude, like this, like 9/11 should have been its own thing. Honestly, if we were like,
it should have been its own episode.
yeah.
Which
honestly, it still probably could if we.
It could, but it'd be banned from search results on YouTube. Have you
ever heard of this thing called Rumble? They have their freedom of speech rule, like, you know, not to go down a random rabbit hole, but like, you know, like the predator people, like the predator catcher people on
the Catch
YouTube.
Predator.
Yeah, like but there's like different variations
ones.
of it. Yeah. Their videos get taken down because of YouTube's bullying and harassment policy. So Rumble doesn't have that, especially for people like that. So all those guys are going over there. So realistic, you could put this podcast over there and probably fucking kick ass.
Probably. Those sites.
We can cut all that out if you're putting this on YouTube. I'm trying to get you taken down.
I mean, I'm not trying to join the echo chamber here, but look, I know YouTube's gonna have some kind of issue with this episode, so I don't know. Let's move on. We're both yay on this.
Yay.
Let's have a conversation about it outside of this though, because I need this runtime to be hit. We haven't even made it halfway through, man. Damn. All right. You know what? That's probably going to do it for part 1 of this. We're definitely going to make a part 2. Stay tuned. Next week, part 2 of this. You're going to get the rest of the episode. Hopefully it won't be too long. Hopefully we don't go into a part 3, but you know what? It's going to be what it is.
Dude, but it's probably going to. Like, honestly, with what we're talking about, we had 4 parts. The 4th part was the second half of the show.
We haven't even gotten halfway through.
Yeah, we could still put 9/11 in part 2.
I have 6 more conspiracies that are way bigger than 9/11.
That are gonna drive. Oh man, I can't wait for those. Go on, yeah.
I have 6 more that are just way bigger than 9/11.
Yeah.
Stick around. Come back. Stay tuned because
all of them. Just do all the things, dude.
We're going to hit cut right now, and then we'll be back next week.
We'll be back.
You know the deal. Until next week, it's been real.
It's been real.
Whop!